Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I wanted to do a video here. This is going to be an interesting video. I found a really interesting article today. Well, really two. But the first that thing I was going to cover is this by XRP Muse. Now, a while back I talked about XRP Muse. That's at Mark J. Scott is where you can follow them on Twitter. And he created a blog, and his blog is xrpmuse.net, and I believe he's written several different blogs on XRP. He says, maybe you've seen increased usage of the expression digital assets. Here are bullish reasons why. And he is tweeting out his blog entry, and he's making a very good point. And I've touched on this in the past. In fact, I think I mentioned this past week that I called myself the digital asset investor after I heard, I specifically took note that Brad Garlinghouse had begun to stop referring to digital assets as cryptocurrencies or crypto and that type of thing. He intentionally, I've always said words mean things, and he intentionally started using the word digital assets. And that's what this article is about. I believe digital assets was the term literally coined so that Wall Street could adopt digital currencies, and really they could be the heroes that turned it into a legitimate thing. And I believe that's what this has always been about. This term, digital assets, has been about worldwide adoption. And I think that they had to come up with this term for that reason. But I wanted to read you a couple of interesting things that XRP Muse makes in his blog entry, because he makes this point really well. He says crypto, or what it has come to mean, has a distinguished history of crime, secrecy, unscrupulous ICOs, volatility, speculation, massive gains, and yes, devastating losses. Bitcoin, the first mover in crypto, has been famously slathered with expressions like Warren Buffett's rat poison squared. It's a game he plays. Like it or not, crypto has become a pejorative word with a snotty tone and ready on the lips of famous fudsters like Nero Rubini and Jamie Dimon. Perhaps this is one of the reasons that Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse often uses a different term. He seems to prefer digital assets. Add to this that when Fidelity chose to name its custody solution for institutional players, they went with Fidelity Digital Assets rather than something FUD-inspiring like Fidelity Crypto. And so he's making very good points here. And down here, he says digital assets, the new nomenclature. One, it's clearer. Two, it has broader mainstream appeal. 3, it establishes that these technologies are in fact assets. And this is this was an article from the other day. SEC bullish on the future of digital assets. They're not bullish on crypto. They're bullish on the future of digital assets. So he says, if I'm short crypto, it's only because of what the term has come to mean. I'm long digital assets because the term makes value much more accessible, and that's crucial for those of us who sincerely want to see mainstream adoption come sooner, not later. So this is important. Words do mean things, and I've always said that words are important, and that is what this word means. That is what we're talking about is mainstream adoption. Next, I wanted to show you, this is a fascinating article. This is about Weiss Ratings. Now, for those of you that have been around, you know that when Weiss Ratings first began to cover crypto, they had it all wrong. They didn't understand crypto, in my opinion, or they intentionally came out and wanted to go one way to get the attention and make everybody mad, And I don't think that's what they did, but that's one option. I believe that Weiss Ratings may have at first been wary of crypto, but I believe that these guys took to Twitter over the last 8 months, and I believe that these guys learned what you and I knew. I believe these guys really have gotten their hands dirty and figured out what you and I have known for the past 1+ years, and that is that digital assets can't be covered with a blanket statement about how crypto is for money laundering. If you really begin to look at them, you can begin to see that some of these digital assets are no less than oil flowing beneath the feet of a landowner in Saudi Arabia, the way that I've said before. So I wanted to go over with what Weiss Ratings, these are their forecasts for 2019. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you I agree with and they mention specific coins, and I'm going to mention them as well. And these guys, I am totally on board with them. My father and I have actually been following them, and we've also been following some of the digital assets that they speak of in here. I own some of the digital assets they speak of in here, and you need to, some of the ones that I mentioned, and I'll tell you one of them in particular, you need to go ahead and begin to look at it and begin to research it, because this might be digital assets 4.0 that I'm going to mention here in a minute. Okay. Bitcoin here, these are their predictions. And again, everything they say in here is exactly in line with my thought patterns. First, they say Bitcoin will increasingly be used as a store of value. Bitcoin costs virtually nothing to store. It's extremely efficient to transport. It's secure, and it cannot be confiscated by any government. Bitcoin is on its way to become a veritable digital gold. The one thing they don't mention in there that I'm going to mention is that it's also scarce. The scarcity of Bitcoin is what it has going for it as much as anything. There will only be 21 million ever. And more important than that, there have already been like 5 million where they've lost the private keys and they will never be found again. And that's 5 million that are known. There's no telling. So imagine if you just owned one Bitcoin. Now, here's my caveat with regard to Bitcoin. If we're wrong about Bitcoin, okay, then Bitcoin will just disappear. I only believe that this is true about Bitcoin, and that it will become digital gold because it was the first one. All of these other things, that Bitcoin and its technology, aside from its scarcity and the things they mention here, that it costs nothing to store and it's extremely efficient to transport and it's secure and the government can't confiscate it. Apart from that, in terms of the technology, I would say it would not survive. But because it was the first one, and because Wall Street has already adopted it behind the scenes and they're going to really be pushing it, I believe Bitcoin will be that one inferior technology that survives. But listen to what he says as we go along. Okay. They say the price of Bitcoin will rise again and it will head for new all-time highs. I agree with that, 100%. I think it will set all-time highs maybe this year, probably this year. Then they go on to say select altcoins will rise from relative obscurity to as much as 20 times their previous all-time highs. And I believe one of those, he doesn't mention any names here. I believe there's a good chance that Tron will jump up into the top 4 or 5. Cardano is another one of those I've said. There are many that are further down the line that I believe will jump up. One of them is VeChain, VET. That's another one that I think will do that. Then this article goes on to say, it says a select group of cryptos will compete to build a new kind of internet. Coins like EOS, Cardano, Holochain, and others are currently leading the charge to create Internet 3.0, a more secure and more sustainable World Wide Web. And I believe that Cardano, EOS, and Holochain, all of those are going to do exactly what they're saying here. I believe that Ethereum was the first go. It was, and they had the ICOs and the run up, But I believe even the creator of Ethereum knows that these are third generation versus that. He's already said he wants to take it from being a proof of work to a proof of stake. So Cardano and all these EOS, Cardano, Holochain, all these are things to keep your eye on in terms of that. Now here's where the rubber meets the road, XRP friends. Another select group of cryptocurrencies will disrupt the world of banking. In walks XRP, the greatest digital asset ever created. He says, meanwhile, however, Ripple's XRP and Stellar are rising to the challenge. They have the potential to disrupt financial markets, remittances, wire transfers, and much more. Ripple's XRP in particular is aiming to disrupt SWIFT, the giant payments network of the global banking system. If it can manage to chip away at SWIFT's market share and even replace it in some areas, there's a chance that XRP could eventually become the world's #1 cryptocurrency. I 100% agree with them. This is something else I agree with them in this article. Bitcoin Me Too coins will fade away. Many cryptocurrencies are going to disappear for the simple reason that they bring virtually nothing new to the table. Even among the top 10 by market cap, several fit this description, including Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, and Litecoin. Totally disagree with totally agree with what he just said. Those are all this fork business is going to destroy all of those coins because they're just watered down versions with no new technology. It's all just watered down versions of Bitcoin. If you're going to own any of those forked things, you may as well own Bitcoin because I do believe that there will be a time when you can't even get a Bitcoin in the next, say, 2 to 5 years. I truly do believe, and I own 1 Bitcoin. I've said this before. If you can afford to do so, I think you should own 1 Bitcoin. I'll tell you right now, but for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Okay, moving along. Now, I'm about to give you a name that I want you all to go look up and study and go watch videos on, because this is the one, as soon as I can get my hands on it, I'm going to buy it. Okay? The first one, which they mentioned, which I already own some of, and you can buy a bunch of it right now for nothing, is Holochain. Okay? All right. Last thing they say in this article is new coins will rocket to the top 10. New coins like Holochain, and here it is, Hedera Hashgraph, and others, although still relatively obscure today, will burst onto the scene and could rocket to the top 10 by market cap. All right, people, write this name down. I'll spell it for you. Hedera Hashgraph, Hedera. It's 2 words, Hedera Hashgraph. There is no digital asset that goes with this yet. This is not blockchain. This is supposed to be 4th or 5th generation, and it's supposed to be better than blockchain. Hedera Hashgraph. They have a website, okay? They said that they are going to issue something that the public can buy into in the near future. We'll see. Keep your eyes on that one. But these guys are right about that. Finally, I want to show you something. Ledger they sent me an email and they said, we've got big news anywhere you are. 3 days, and they're doing a countdown. So they're about to do something big. These are the Ledger Nano S people. They're about to do something big, and I don't know what it is. They haven't told me. And also, I thought that they were going to be running their sale until just January 1st. Well, they've still got it going. So if you still haven't gotten one, they've still got the 30% off. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that the people at Ledger have something they're about to announce in 3 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes, and 13 seconds. Thanks for listening.